Hey everybody, this week's Torah portion is Parshas Yitro. It is the giving of the Torah in this week's Torah portion. It is the only time in history that God speaks to the entire Jewish nation. And before doing that, he asks them, do you want the Torah? Now what's interesting is that the Medrash says, not in the Torah but is in the Medrash, that before he asked the Jewish people whether or not they wanted the Torah, he went around to every single nation on planet Earth and sent a prophet to them asking them, do you want to accept the Torah? And every time he went to a nation through the prophet and asked, do you want the Torah? The nation asked, well, what's in it? So the nation of Edom, which was well known for manslaughter, was asked, do you want the Torah? They said, what's in it? So the prophet says, it says, don't kill. They said, I'm sorry, we can't in all honesty say we are not going to do that. That's actually the one thing that we really have a hard time with. And he then went to the next nation of Yishmael and asked them, what do you want the Torah? And they said, well, what's in it? He says, well, it says you have to be faithful to your spouse. They said, oh, I'm sorry, that's the one thing we're not good at. And then he went to the next nation, and he said, God wants to know if you want his Torah. They said, well, what's in it? He said, don't steal. He said, I'm sorry. The nation said, I'm sorry, that's the one thing we're really bad at. That's something that we can't really live without. And one by one, every time he went to a nation, the prophet went to a nation and asked, do you want the Torah? They asked what's in it, to which God responded through the prophet with the mitzvah that they would have the hardest time with. Now it's interesting that was his decision, because if you were God and you wanted to get the people to accept the Torah, why not start by telling them something simple that's in it, and then leading them in on and on and on with more and more commandments until finally you get to the last one, which is the one thing they're bad at. Why start off with the hardest one, almost to scare them off? Do you want them to take the Torah or not? If you want them to take the Torah, then let's start off with the easy one. If you don't, then why even offer it to them? But it's even a little more perplexing, because when he comes to the Jewish people, he doesn't do that. God does not say, hey, do you want my Torah? No matzah balls. He doesn't ask them if they want to accept it and then say something that's very difficult for them to do. He says, do you want to accept my Torah, without telling them what's inside it. Why did he not do that with all the other nations? Why only with the Jewish people did God not try to let them know what was very, very difficult for them to do and say, that's in it, and then make the offer? So if you think of an answer, I'm not going to tell it to you now, but if you come over to me on Shabbat at Makor and give me your answer, we can talk it out and see if you can come up with an answer to these two questions. There's one answer that'll answer both of these questions. If you think you got it, come over to me on Shabbat, and we will see if you're right. On behalf of Makor, Shabbat Shalom.